So to enter the shelter, you have to come down the sidewalk. And when you get to the porch, it is now a screened-in porch. But what it really was, in 1850, it was the back area for the stagecoach stop. And then in 1930s, it became the sewing room to Mrs. Lanham. And then when we bought the hotel, it was in really ratty shape. So we cleaned it all up and we added a screened-in porch. And then you walk over to here. And this is how you enter into what is known as the basement area of the hotel. Really, what it began as an Indian maid shelter. Walk down and try not to kill myself. So where I'm taking you is actually underneath James Campbell's log cabin. And I turn on the lights. And so this is what it looks like now. You can see how small the windows are. And all the pretty work they did. And the way the wood is notched. Because back then, James Campbell, when he was here, there was actually no blacksmith. And so everything that you see, he put together with wooden pegs and notching. So this is one of them. It's a beautiful wood. Here's another one. That's throughout underneath his house. And there at one time was even a fireplace down here. And if you look, that's this right here. This is actually cement, roughly made cement, and they sealed it up. And I'll tell you in a few minutes why they sealed it up. Pretty work. I mean, I love to think, that someone's hand put this rock right there and then added the cement. And it just gives me goosebumps. So, take you over here. So the wall is pretty much caliche. They did add a level of cement before they added the two-story wood frame portion. So that is cement. And I'm going to let you see what it looks like now. So there's the shelter. It's huge. And so its original state was when James Campbell built his log cabin, they thought that the Comanches were under control. And so the town sold the wood that was going to be used for a fort here in Seguin. They sold it to James Campbell. And he used that wood to make his log cabin. And here's a beautiful log. I love this. That's actually a log, the original log with the bark still on it. And see how they would have notched the wood to put it in place. Well, no sooner that he built his log cabin, the Comanches attacked. And so now they needed to have a place where they could hide the women and children here in Seguin, and so they chose James Campbell's log cabin. And so the underneath it was quickly dug out by hand, and the women and children would come down here whenever the Comanches attacked, And it is said that this is actually the route that they would use. There's a hidden door way back underneath the hotel, and the historians have verified that that would have been the hidden door, and the woman in charge of bringing the women and children down to the shelter during an attack, her name was Mrs. Savannah Reed, and she would bring them through that hidden door and right down this ramp right here, which I think it's pretty cool. It's still here. They had cut out the 2 walls just for the ramp, and it said that the last time that she had to do that was in 1855 during the 4th of July celebration. I guess, what would you call them, a group of Comanche warriors came and kidnapped 3 men, and so the Texas Rangers said, take all the women and children down to the shelter and we'll go see if we can save them. And they were able to kill the 3 Comanches, but were only able to rescue 1 of the men. But it said that Mrs. Reed, when she brought everybody down, it was just frantic, and so she told them to make bullets and sharpen knives to keep them busy, and this also calmed down all the women and children. And then later, it was also used as a jail. It was known as the first jail here in Seguin from 1847 until 1852, and we even have remnants of when it was a jail. There's the latch. And we do know, try not to go too fast, we do know that there were bars on the windows, because when we were replacing some of the windows, we found that there were places to put the bars. And it is said that it was the absolute worst jail in all of Seguin. That was during the time of the Texas Rangers, and the Texas Rangers did not believe in jails. They believed in their own justice, which was either whipping or hanging. So I found this article about the hotel, and it actually states that it was known as the worst jail in all of Texas. And the reason the windows are so thin is because that was just enough room for any kind of attacks. And they were able to use the windows to put their guns through. And here's also some more remnants of when it was a jail. And we're going to make sure that we keep all of the beams in the original state. I'm including, I want the square nails. I want the, I can't remember what they call these electrical insulators, I believe. I want to keep those. And then way in the back, for the life of me, I do not know why someone would have built this and hung it up. So it's almost like a place to hang like your hat or something like that. I mean, it's definitely handmade. So I thought that was a kind of cool addition. Here's another way of how they notched everything with the wood. And then you can actually look through underneath the hotel. It had a big bright light. You could see it's the logs, and they go all the way down. There's another peg, and I believe that's a wedge. And then there's another good peg over here. You can see there's logs. There's another one. It's really cool. And I love how you can see the saw marks So when we first bought the hotel, I actually crawled under here because I wanted to see what I could find. And I found tons of traveling salesman sample bottles, which we have inside the hotel, you can see. And that just proves there were a lot of traveling salesmen here during that time. And so the basement slash jail slash Indian raid shelter during Prohibition. This area was used as a speakeasy, and it was known to be a happening place. A lot of stuff happened here. A lot of moonshine. And so what they would do is that whenever they were going to have a raid, if they knew that the law was coming, someone would ring this bell, which we found, and then everybody would just scatter in any direction they could possibly get out. And when they couldn't get out the pathway, which was through the entrance, I would love to see what the entrance looked like during the speakeasy day. But when they weren't able to escape through the entranceway, it is said that they would exit through this tunnel. And like I was saying, that's actually cement, roughly made cement. It's the same kind of cement that we see inside the saloon area when they sealed up the fireplace in there too. They used this rough cement. Well, this entrance right here is supposed to go out to a tunnel, and the tunnel leads out through the Indian raid shelter and goes all the way out to the street. And so we discovered that these tunnels were not actually built during Prohibition. These tunnels were used for the cotton gins here in Seguin. And then once the cotton gins stopped working, they remained empty and dry, and it made for a perfect escape during Prohibition. And I actually have a picture that I can show you that was captured of one of the tunnels that was used for the cotton gin. Let's see if I can find it. I'm going through all my ghost pictures. Yeah, I'm not a professional, as you can tell. There's the tunnel. And this tunnel was actually captured by one of the reporters here in Seguin. And they were talking about how these tunnels are all throughout the city of Seguin. But they neglected to tell you that they were also used during Prohibition. So I realize that they don't talk about it very much because they really don't want children discovering them and going through them. But we do have a handyman that has worked with us for almost 10 years who was born and raised here in Seguin, and he's like, sure, I played in those tunnels when I was a kid. They're all over the place. And I was like, there you go, verification. So I'll show you another cool, this one was really cool. Just the pigs. Yeah, so I bring people down here during my guided ghost tours, and we almost always have an experience while we're down here, and I love to share with them some of our artifacts that we found here at the hotel. And I always tell people the creepiest thing that I ever discovered while I was down here is the glass eye. So that's definitely during the time of Reconstruction, because we do know that during the time of Reconstruction, the Union officers took over the hotel, and they had Union soldiers lined up all down the street, aligned to the hotel. And we know they were down here, the Union soldiers as well, because we have found many Union bullets, which has been verified. And we've also found the glass eye. We found this, evidently somebody was injured and walked with a, what do you call those? A thing. So I just kind of wanted to share with everybody because it is going to look different, and not everybody gets to come down to the shelter. Even our guests who stay overnight, they do not have access to the shelter because it's in our private backyard. but I give them on my tours. And so I thought it would be kind of cool if the rest of the world could see what we see before we change it. And I usually never come down here by myself, and I used to all the time. I loved it, but then I discovered one of our spirits didn't really care for me very much, and so maybe because I talked too much, I don't know. But while I was down here, she started to notice that she was capable of doing certain things. She could push me, she could shove me, she tripped me, and she yanked on my hair a lot, because when I have my hair down it's kind of long. And so then one day I realized that she had grown pretty strong in her energy, and she was able to toss a rock at me, a very big rock. And so that kind of scared me, and when that happened, I decided to no longer come down here by myself, which is really brave of me because I'm doing so right now while I'm filming for y'all. But I really wanted y'all to see it before it all got changed. I'm going to keep the integrity, we are actually, Jim and I are keeping the integrity of the historical aspects of the shelter. So, like I'm keeping our beautiful post that have remnants of when it was a jail. Let's see, there's another portion of it, when it was a jail. And I've always thought that this certain beam, to me it looks like it might have come off a ship, you know, because it's nicely carved there, which I've heard that when ships come in and they didn't need them anymore, they would take them apart. So I've always thought that. And oh, and so this part we sealed. It had been poked into way too many times, and so my husband and I, we sealed this to give it support, and we're kind of hoping that we can keep this type of look for the hotel. So we'll see. I hope I'm doing the right thing, but it needs to be secured and improved, and we need to de-raccoon it and de-possum it. And we want to leave the Magnolia in the best condition we can possibly give her before the next guardian comes along and takes ownership. And so we've given this 10 years of thought and planning. I think we got a good plan, and I think not only will the paranormal people be pleased, but I really believe the historians are going to be really pleased with the way that it's going to be. And I don't normally do this, and I don't know if I should, but we do have a spirit, as I was telling you, down here. And just so you know, we call her Isabella, and so far she's left me alone. There's our shelter. I hope you enjoyed seeing it, and I'll keep tabs on all the progression of our restoration that we do, because I know there's a lot of people that love the Magnolia just as much as Jim and I do, and I would like you all to be a part of it. So I'm going to step back inside where the AC is. I don't do well in 105 degrees. So I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching.